Welcome everyone. Little foam rolling time. Welcome to Roll and Stretch. So today we're going to try to do some major muscle groups. We're going to work on the legs, the hips, the glutes, the upper back, and a little bit of the chest today. We're going to try to roll that area, stretch that area, hence the roll and stretch. And hopefully we'll leave you feeling a little bit more loose and a little bit more flexible today. Okay, let's go ahead and get right to it. We're going to come up the legs a little bit. We're going to start right with the calves, and then we'll get into the glutes, hamstrings. So with the calves, we've kind of gone through, if you've joined me before, but if you haven't, you can do one calf at a time. Let me show you the other way just so you can see what I'm talking about. You can do one calf at a time, leaving one foot off, or you can do them both. I prefer the one calf, and what I'll do is I'll actually put the hands down here, or I'll come on one side and just roll that one calf if I need a little bit more pressure. I'll come up on both arms. I like to make sure we get that calf even when we're working on hamstrings and quads and glutes. Good. Let's go ahead and switch it up. We're doing both. Go ahead and stay on both of them. Make sure we're getting all the way to the base here and then up that calf. Make sure you're turning the foot so you can get the outside of the calf. We want to get both the soleus and the gastroc here. Good. And anytime you're foam rolling, you'll always see your mat bulge up or rolling like that. Excellent. Let's go ahead, move our way up to the hamstrings. Hamstrings, same thing, almost identical, if you will. You're just going a little higher up the body. I like to do one at a time. I like to cross the leg. If you do both, that's fine. Remember, you can always put the butt down in between if this is a little rough on the hands and wrists. You can always get a little closer too, so you're not as far away and putting pressure on the shoulders. Go ahead and switch the leg if you haven't yet. Try to roll all parts of that hamstring. Excellent. Very good. Let's stay right on the glute here, and we're just going to roll that foam roller underneath. We want to sit right on the foam roller here. Make sure you got a good base. Hand is going to go off to the left side, so we're going to be on the left glute. And you could do this with both legs bent, or you could do it with one leg straight or both legs. It's hard to really do it both legs straight, but you need that brace for one of them. I like both bent. You straighten it to go all the way back, and then you bend it just like that. This far leg wouldn't stay bent because of it's using it for an access point or for a balance point. Let's go ahead and now take this left leg that's straightened out or bent. We're going to cross it over the right knee. If that's difficult, you can cross it up here, straighten the leg out. Do it that way, but if you can bring that other leg up. I want to go right on the side of that hip almost here. Good, and then roll it over the glute. Excellent job. Right on that hip, trying to roll out those glutes. And then let's get to the top of almost the lower back, if you will, the top of the hip. So as you keep rolling, I just want to show you. So you're going to roll that glute. We're going to be right up in here when we talk about the top of the hip, right at that waistband, if you will, on your shorts or pants. So we're going to be right up top there. You can see I'm getting a little lower, almost into that low back. Let's go ahead and switch it up. Very, very good here. Other side. We're just getting that glute now on the other side. The roll in. And let's go ahead and cross it. So again, trying to go on the side of the hip, Trying to go in the meat of the glute, and then even a little bit lower. Just kind of moving your way around all those parts of the body. Very good. 3, 2, and what we're trying to do on a standard occasion, if you're doing the foam rolling on your own, it's about 10 rolls per body part. I tend to just think about when I feel like I've rolled it enough, so it's usually about 30 seconds to a minute. It depends on how much time you want to put into the foam rolling itself, how much you want to spend time on that foam rolling. Okay, we're going to do the quads and the hip flexors, and then we'll get some stretching in on that lower body. So for the quads, remember we put that ball, wedge it right in between the knee and the thigh there as we're kneeling up, and then we're just going to lie right over it. So from here, we're just going to pivot on the elbows. So we're going back and forth. If you want to make it a little more difficult, right? Lift that one thigh off, or bend at the feet. That'll add a little pressure up on those quads. Quads are usually the ones we feel the most because they're our biggest muscle group. The post-workout, usually quads are the big one. If we're doing any running, any type of squats, jogging, that kind of stuff, we'll usually always feel the quads. Excellent. 3, 2, and 1. Very good. We got one more roll before we stretch this lower body out. And this is going to be the hip flexor again. If you haven't done this with me before with the hip flexor and psoas, we're going to try to roll right in here. So we want the foam roller to be right here. When we lay down on the foam roller, we're going to be straddling the foam roller, and it's going to be rolling just like this. It's rolling right in this pocket. Okay, it's a little, understandably, it's a little awkward. It's in an awkward area, but we don't want it to be a big roll. It's like this. Just a small little roll. So I'll kind of go facing you so you can kind of see the angle. So the foam roller is going to be angled. So I'm straddling a little bit. It's coming under my left leg, kicking out to my right because I want to do my right side. I'm going to straddle that, lay right on it, put it in that pocket, and then it's just a small roll back and forth. You could also do this with a lacrosse ball or a trigger ball or a tennis ball. Good. And you can just let the body sit on it if you can too. Kind of let that pressure release. And then we're just doing small rolls. We're still staying straight, and when we're rolling, the hip is just going back and forth over that foam roller. That's why we turn the foam roller. And we're not going sideways, if you will. Just the way the foam roller's on. 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and switch. And all you would do, right, is straddle the opposite side and roll it back and forth. And I'm just going to show you side view because you can see we're not going, it's not a large roll, right? It's just back and forth, that side, right inside that pocket. Don't be afraid to let it sit there and roll it back and forth. Excellent job here. One of my favorites. Heard me talk about it before if you've been on any of these rolling sessions. Hip flexor psoas, big area, small muscle group, but big area where if we sit or drive or are in a seated position a lot, this part of the fascia and these muscles are going to shorten because they're going to adapt to that seated position. Then we try to get up there in a shortened state, pulls our hip down, pulls us into a bit of a hip tilt, and then we start to try to walk like that. That's what pulls on the lower back. So we see a lot of lower back tenderness with that type of issue. Okay, let's talk about stretching it now. All right, you don't need a chair. I'm going to show you with the chair for some of these. A lot of times I go right to the ground. Not everybody likes getting down there, although we had to for the foam rolling. But I want to show you a couple stretches that we can do. Calves first, we work those calves. So what we would do is, you can use a wall too for this, just pushing that calf back. And it's a very simple calf stretch, right? There's not much to the calf stretch. When we're doing stretches, today we're going to be holding for about 15, 20 seconds, but we should really look for about 30 to 45 seconds because we're trying to add flexibility here. 3, 2, 1, let's go ahead and switch it up. And all it is, and if you need more, you just step it back as long as you can put that heel down and kind of lunge forward, if you will, right? If we're on the wall, it's just like this. Getting that calf nice and stretched. Excellent. We're going to go right up the ladder here. So we've got the quads next. If you don't have a chair, it would just be from the ground. If you have the chair, you would have the foot on. And the big thing here is it's a hip hinge to stretch the hamstring. You don't want to just reach your eyes or your head towards, because you get a lot of the back. We do want to stretch that later, but right now we want to do just that hamstring. So we just hip hinge. Three, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead and switch that up now. So just a hip hinge. Five, 4, 3, 2. Oh, that feels good. Nice hamstring stretch. Okay, let's talk about the hip flexors now. 2 good ways to stretch this out. One is a kneeling version, one is a standing version. We'll talk about the standing version, where you're going to take a step back here. You're going to use that chair for support. And what you're going to do is you're going to bend forward on this and just drop that hip, almost like you're trying to push that hip into the floor. This is going to open up the hip flexor. You want to add a little bit more. Lift up that same arm that you're lunging down with, right? So lunging back with, I should say. So if I lift this up, I'm going to feel it pull a little bit more. Now, when we're using the chair, another thing we can do is reach a little bit more, or we can not use the chair, push on that knee, feel that. If you're in that kneeling position, right? Same thing, pushing the hip this way instead, feeling that hip flexor stretch. Hold that nice and strong. Good, it's a good way just to open up that hip flexor. Let's go ahead and switch the side. So if we're standing, we're here, trying to push that hip into the floor, and we can use that chair for balance. Good, remember if you're on the knee, we're just pushing forward. 3, 2, and 1. Great, great job. I'm going to do a seated glute stretch here. We've done this on the ground and in the seated position in the past. Today I want to do it seated. So what we're going to do, because we're going to add the hip flexor to it, we're going to cross the foot over the knee. Now, if this is difficult, you can go from here. This is totally fine. So cross that leg. Sometimes you can force it. You get like a stretching strap. Pull it up there and just hold it up there. That in itself is a stretch, right? Now, what I want to do first is push on the knee here, because I want to open up this hip flexor. So this is actually working the hip flexor. It's inverting it a little bit. Good, so we're just pushing right here. Good time to take a deep breath. Exhale. Now let's take the knee. Let's take both hands. Let's pull that. And then as we're pulling that, and the ankle will slide a little bit down, we're going to pull that over, across, and now we're going to look over our left shoulder. If we're pulling our left knee, we're looking over our left shoulder. Like to call wringing the towel out, right? We're pulling from both sides, twisting from both sides. Feel that good glute stretch. 3, 2. Oh, let's do another 2, 1. Sometimes you got to hold that a little extra. All right, let's go to the other side. Pushing down. Again, big inhale. Big exhale. Good times to take those big, deep breaths. Still need that oxygen to keep coming in, feed the muscles. 3, 2, 1, let's go ahead and pull across. Looking over the shoulder. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, if we were in a laying position, obviously you can do that laying down. From the back side, you could also do that like a pretzel stretch if you're laying down and crossing there. There's a couple different ways you can do that stretch, but I really, really like that one for the hip flexor glute area. Okay, let's take a peek at the chest here. This can be a difficult one to roll because the chest area is kind of difficult with the face and everything like that. This is going to be similar to how we rolled out the hip flexor. We're going to go angled, and it's going to roll up and down on the body. So if I want to roll on my right side chest, I'm going to put that foam roller so that it's kind of slightly angled to the left, and I'm just walking over back and forth. And you can see I'm kind of on the knees. I don't really want to lay down because it doesn't give me a lot of roll space. So what I do is I just kind of come from the knees, angle out a little bit, lay so that I'm half on the knees, and then you can see I keep the foot up, and then I'm using my hand and arm to pivot. Let me show you the other side, just so you can see how I'm pivoting, using this wrist, just pivoting back and forth. Go ahead and switch if you haven't. Other side. Takes a little bit of work for the chest. Another way to do this is if you have a tennis ball at home, you can roll that tennis ball right in there, be a little bit more specific with that roll. That's kind of how we get the specifics on the chest. Very good. Just a few rolls on that chest. And you can even drop into it if you need to just lay right on it. Anytime you find sore spots, or what we call trigger points with myofascial release, you can always go into that extra hold on it to get it that good roll. All right, let's finish here on the foam rolling side with the upper back. So we're going to lay down so that the mid back is right on the ball. Our feet are flat. We're going to get a good base with those feet. We're going to use our glutes here, tighten the tummy, lift our glutes off the ground, hands behind the head, and we're just going to use our feet to brace us. And if this is a lot on the feet, you can go put the butt down, lift up a little roll, put the butt down. But if you can, stay off that glute, base of the neck, mid back, quickly open it up to the left side, rolling over that left shoulder blade. Oh, this one feels good, right? Excellent. And let's switch to the right. This is usually a big, tight area. It's right below that shoulder blade. That's the lat muscle. Tends to get tight from the shifting shoulders over. So now let's bring both hands back in. Bring those elbows together. Do 2 rolls on the left side. So I'm just lean on the left. 2 rolls on the right. And then open it all the way down. We got 3 rolls left all the way. 1, 2, and number 3. We finished the way we started. Drop that butt down. Let that foam roller rest. So let's just take a look at the chest and back 4 stretches. My favorite one, and you can do this standing, seated, is to cross. This is a good one for the back. And if you're standing, a little extra you can do is just hip hinge now and just kind of reach. This will get the whole hamstrings and the back. What I like here is I can just reach to the side, give a little extra lat. I really like crossing the hands though here. Crossing the hands. If you just reach like this, I don't feel like we get as much of a roll in that lat. Big inhale. Another stretch that would be the opposite of this would be grabbing onto a pole, standing straight, and kind of letting that butt come out. All right, let's go ahead and stretch the chest. We're gonna just open up here. So just pulling, right? This right here. Pulling that chest back, staying nice and loose. Hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, little lean back, and 1. Shake that out. So we did a really, really good job today of calves to the chest. Did those calves, those quads, those hamstrings, those glutes, chest, back. Should feel a little bit more limber, a little bit more upright even, right? Doing that chest and back really brings your posture back, makes you feel a little taller. Hopefully you feel all that good stuff. Hopefully you continue doing it. And then lastly, hopefully you join me next time. Thanks for joining me for Stretch and Roll. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thanks for coming.